Hi, welcome to the Lifestyle Show. I'm joined at the moment, I mentioned this earlier, and it's actually really very interesting and very informative. So without a shadow of a doubt, be sure to pay great attention to this. I'm joined by Dr. Frank, who's going to be talking to us about prostate cancer.
Sure.
How are you doing, sir?
Good morning, I'm well, thank you.
Thank you for coming down.
No, it's a pleasure.
Yes, I've made some research, and one of the key things that we have to mention is prostate cancer is highest within the black male community. The weird thing I did hear about that was you can't, sometimes there aren't any symptoms.
That's right.
That actually come about.
That's right. That's one of the things about prostate cancer, is that it may have no symptoms at all, and the only way that you might know if you have it is by doing a blood test or by a doctor feeling your prostate gland. Right. Having said that, if you do have some urinary symptoms, such as a poor urinary flow or a delay before you can actually get going, or getting up at night, or going more frequently than usual, if you do have those kind of symptoms, that could also indicate that you've got a problem with your prostate. But just because you haven't got any waterwork problems doesn't mean that you haven't got prostate cancer. Sure.
Again, within that, there are no symptoms. What I understood was it's from the age of 50 that males at the age of 50 onwards are the most likely. Is it encouraged for men under that age to go for a check?
In fact, for black men, we say from the age of 45, not the age of...
from the age of 45?
Yeah, because black men tend to get prostate cancer 5 years younger than white men. So for white men, we say from the age of 50, that's when you start getting yourself tested. But if you're black, it's from the age of 45.
From the age of 45.
Yes.
Again, this is all the information which is highly valuable. Is there anything that, how can I say, is there any links to anything that's triggered the cause of prostate cancer that we could look out for, anything dietary to avoid?
Well, the problem is we don't know the cause of prostate cancer. You know,
sure.
We think diet has a role to play. And we think that if you're overweight, that puts you at increased risk of getting prostate cancer. But actually, we don't know the cause of prostate cancer, and we don't know why is it that black men are twice as likely to get it as everyone else.
Right. Well, okay, so it's just something that there are no answers. You know, we can only assume, again, weight being a factor, so it's always encouraged anyway to eat as healthy as possible, but just definitely to go for that check.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, what we're saying is that if you're a black man, you're over the age of 45, you should go along and have a chat with your doctor about your risk of getting prostate cancer. Because 1 in 4 black men will get prostate cancer. It's very high. And it's 1 in 4 black men, whether you're in the States or you're in Brazil or you're in West Africa or you're in the UK. So what we're saying is that you should go along to your GP. There is a blood test called PSA, which can give you a clue as to whether you might have prostate cancer. So if this blood test is abnormal, then the GP will refer you to a specialist such as myself, who will then run further tests to see if actually you do have prostate cancer. Because the important thing is that if you get it early, it's curable.
Okay, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
which is, you know, relief to it. As much as there are alarms, there is a cure to it, which
treatments are good and effective.
Yes. Talking of that, we actually have a gentleman here who has been cured of prostate cancer. Okay. And what I think we can do actually is we're going to go to a break now, and hopefully we can have Errol in and he can talk to us of his experience and his journey. That would be absolutely fantastic. Right, as I said, so much to learn here. So we're going to go to a break, and after that we'll be joined by Errol, who will just be telling us of his journey, his experience, and something I'm going to commend him on the minute I see him in this chair. So right, catch you after the break. Mentioned, we actually have someone who's taken on prostate cancer and survived it, and is doing a fantastic job to spread the message to everyone to get out there, and we had to bring him in. So Errol, thank you very much for joining us here.
Please, it's a pleasure for me to be here, actually, and I just want to say thank you to Ben TV for allowing myself, and on behalf of Prostate Cancer UK and Being Clear on Cancer campaign, getting this message across, because it's a very, very serious issue and something that we do need to be talking about.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about the lack of symptoms within prostate cancer, and the funny thing I heard within your story is you actually went to the doctors because your wife was concerned about snoring.
Yeah, it's, you know, this is where I consider myself to be very lucky. You know, it all started in 2010. My wife was complaining about my snoring, and like all women, you know, once they start nagging, you do have to address the issue. And I said, make the appointment and I'll go to the doctor. And she did. I went to the doctor, I sat in the reception waiting, decided to pick up a leaflet from Prostate Cancer UK, read the leaflet. I thought, let me go to the reception and make an appointment. I spoke to the receptionist. She said, you don't have to make an appointment. It only takes 10 minutes. Little did I realise that that 10 minutes was going to change my life. You know, I had a simple blood test, sat back down in the reception, never thought anything more about it. I did sort of mention it to the wife in the evening when I got in. I said, oh, by the way, while I was waiting to see the doctor, I did a blood test for prostate cancer. And she kind of looked at me a bit strange, you know, like, well, what's that got to do with your snoring? And a couple of weeks after that, the doctors called me to do another blood test. I did another blood test. And almost straight after that, everything just escalated. I went from that to having a scan, having a biopsy, and then the doctor sat me down in a room and he said, Mr. McKellar, your prostate is covered in cancer, and if we don't remove this prostate, you could be dead in 6 months. Wow. So you can imagine my reaction. You know, there is nothing that really prepares you for that word cancer. So I got up and I literally walked out of the room because I just didn't think he was actually talking to me, because you go into a denial, you know. And I went, you know, I'm not ashamed to admit, I went and sat in my car, and I still find it very difficult to talk about it, so please bear with me. I sat in the car and I cried and I cried and I cried, because then it starts to hit you really what has been said. And as I said, there isn't nothing that prepares you for that word cancer. You know, as big and as strong as we men think we are, right, we deal with many things, but when someone tells you that, you have to really take it on board. And that was what I found very difficult to deal with. You know, my wife came into the car, she just let me cry. And then when I finished, she said, well, you know, what are you going to do about this? Because you've never quitted on anything you've ever done in your life. And that's when I thought, okay, I've cried enough. I went back in there and I said to the doctor, what do I need to do? He said, look, we need to make preparation to do this operation, because the problem with this issue is once it spreads, then the chances of doing something are limited. So we made preparations to do the operation, and after having the operation and successfully going through the necessary treatments that have to be done after the operation, you know, I'm now successfully cleared of the cancer. I still have after effects, but I'm the lucky one, I'm alive. And that's when I thought, you know what, I need to do something about this, because I wasn't aware of the problems that this caused. And the issues that I have with it is, you know, what my symptoms are seems to be different to somebody else's symptoms. One, because I didn't know what my symptoms were, and two, you know, I was still not aware of what my actual symptoms were to start with. And that's where I found it very difficult, and I thought the only way I could come to terms with this, I sat down with my wife and said, look, I think this is something that we need to go public on. And she agreed with me, and that's what I decided to do.
Fantastic. You know, this is it. As you said, you've gone public. During the break, you actually had mentioned that you tried to talk to 100 people a day to spread that message.
I decided that I'm going to talk to as many people as I can, and I set myself a target of talking to 100 people a day. Today, I've probably spoken to 3,000 people about this issue, right, since I've been diagnosed with the problem and been luckily to be cured of the problem. But what saddens me is that 30 people in the business that I run a garage in Hackney, and 30 people that have come into my garage have been diagnosed with a prostate problem. But more critical is 18 of those 30 people are Afro-Caribbean men. And, you know, this for me takes on a personal issue because, you know, as I said, I try to talk to as many people as I can. I've even gone to the point now of offering a 20% discount to people who come into my garage to have their cars repaired, right, if they go and get their prostates checked. Men and women I speak to. Women because they get the message across to their brothers, their fathers, their uncles. You know, they get the message across. Guys, it's something that we still need to talk about, and that's where I find it a little bit of a battle at the moment, just trying to get men to sort of sit down and listen and go and do something about it. Hopefully, even if they've not told me that they've gone and done something about it, they've gone and done something about it. But this is a big, big issue. 1 in 8 men are diagnosed with a prostate problem. 1 in 4 Afro-Caribbean men are diagnosed with a prostate problem. So this is a serious issue that, you know, in 20 years from now, this will probably be the biggest single killer of mankind. And we are the only ones who can address and do something about this issue. And by talking about it, you know, we have the doctor here today who, you know, will give us as much medical advice as needed. I am not qualified to give a medical advice. I can only give life experience advice. But, you know, for me, anyone who wants to talk to me about it is welcome. As I said, you know, the Prostate Cancer UK website is available 24/7. You know, you can pick up the phone, you can talk to a qualified nurse, you know, but talk to somebody, talk to your partners. I mean, I have a situation where one of the guys that I deal with has found out that he's got a prostate problem and he hasn't even told his partner. He's finding it very, very, very difficult to talk about it at this moment, and he can't even tell his partner about it. So it's a serious issue.
No, definitely. Again, for yourself, Dr. Frank, listening to what Errol's mentioned, is this something that you've seen on a regular occurrence, that men have taken that bit longer to take the check, which again is only 10 minutes, you know, as I said, 10 minutes that saves your life, you know?
Yeah. I think that's right. I think men are traditionally reluctant, A, to go to the doctor, and B, to do anything by way of testing. I think that's all men. And, you know, I have a particular interest in black men, clearly, and it is an uphill battle, but, you know, times are changing, and I find men are more responsive than they were 10 years ago. So
which is good.
It is good, so that's encouraging. So what we can do is to encourage them even further. Now, one of the things that does put men off, and, you know, we have to face it head on, is the rectal examination. Because of where the prostate sits, it sits like in front of the back passage. And actually, if you want to feel the prostate gland, the doctor has to put a finger into the back passage. And many men find this distasteful, or think it's going to be painful, or, you know, and make a big deal of it. And that's one of the reasons why some men delay going to the doctors. But I say 2 things to men. Number one, there is this blood test, the PSA blood test, which actually gives you even more information than the rectal examination. But even the rectal examination is something that takes a few seconds. And the reason for doing the rectal examination is that at times the blood test can be normal, but there is a problem in the prostate. And so when the doctor feels it, that he finds that there is a problem. So it's not something that men should fear. You know?
Do you know what? Funny enough, actually, there was one time I had carried something and the pain was continuous, and I actually had to take that test myself because they said they wanted to eliminate it. And there is no shame in it. There is nothing, you know.
Absolutely.
Again, your life is there.
You've hit the nail on the head there. Really, there isn't no shame. It's you know, men go to the gym 3 times a week to look good. If there's a problem with their cars, they come into my garage straight away. Right? How all of this started with me offering men discount or people discount, right, was one of my customers came in and I said to him, you know, when was the last time you had your prostate checked? And he looked at me and said, well, you know, what's that got to do with the problem that's on my car? And I said, well, it's very similar really, because there's a problem with your car and you've come into me, but what about you as a person? You know, these are sort of things that really we should be doing once a year at least, right? Because it's something that if it's caught early, it can be dealt with. So what this gentleman done, he went away, went and had his prostate checked, and found that he had a problem. So he came back to me, right? I had to honour the discount that I was offering him. He gave me back the discount and said, please donate this to the charity But more importantly, please try and raise the awareness of this problem, because he said, look, I'm now found out I've got a problem that I didn't even know I had, and if it wasn't for my car, I wouldn't have gone and done the test in the first place. And this is where the problem is. You know, it's just getting rid of this stigma. You know, we need to start, it's all about educating, really. We need to start educating that it's not a disgrace to go to your doctor, right? If you go to your doctor, it's no different to going and having an MOT done. All you're doing is saying to your doctor, look, I'd like to get a check once a week, right? Once a year, right? You take a week out and say, right, I'm going to do a complete check on myself, go through from head to foot, just looking after myself, because that helps.
Again, I love the analogy that you've given there, because someone actually did mention that to me quite a few times, that your body is like an engine, and it's true. It's no point having a fantastic body on the outside, but the insides aren't functioning correctly.
This is the battle. This is how I've had to do it. I've had to. I'm not qualified like the doctor. The doctor can give it to you in a much more professional and proper manner, right? But you know, I'm a living example of what this illness can do to you. I'm still suffering from the side effects of it, but you know, amen. I'm alive. And I know God has kept me alive for that reason, to get out there and tell this story and spread this message. And, you know, as I said, if I've saved 30 people, I'm not the hero, right? The hero are the people who go out there and do something when I tell them about it. Because for me, I don't want to have 30 people that have got this problem. If I've spoken to 3,000 people already, I want 3,000 people to not have a problem, you know? But, you know, from a black man's point of view, this is something that we have to address. We cannot wait and rely on lady luck, you know. As I said, I'm one of the lucky ones, right? But 1 in 4, so every 5 men that you see, right, 1 of them is going to have a prostate.
Yeah, and again, and the funny thing behind it is, yourself, even the gentleman that you first mentioned there, is that there are no symptoms whatsoever, you know.
You know what, the problem with this illness is that, and the term silent killer is probably related to prostate cancer more than anything else. You know, my issues with this is that breast cancer is high up on the scale, but prostate cancer is very, very taboo, you know? And really, because we men do not choose to do anything about it, it remains like that. But we are, as the doctor said, we are getting better. Times have changed, and we are registering, right, that we should do something about it.
Again, okay, to yourself, Dr. Frank, we have to address it, we have to do something. Are there any at all, again, we heard the term silent killer, but are there any symptoms at all that you've seen a trend in at all that have, you know?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say, it's true that most men with early prostate cancer don't have symptoms, but some men do have symptoms. So the symptoms are urinary problems. So generally speaking, you know, if you're over 45, 50 onwards, and your urine starts slowing down, taking a long time to pass it, or dribbling at the end, or you're getting up 2 or 3 times at night and disturbing the missus, or you're in the toilet every half an hour, you know, after you've had a drink, these kind of urinary symptoms can indicate that there's a problem with the prostate. It's not, you know, it's not invariable. There's other things that can cause urinary problems, but certainly that should be a sign that you should go and get yourself checked out. Okay,
and again, all the information is available in all GPs and hospitals, and it's a simple 10-minute test. Can you just walk in?
It's less than 10. It's less than 10 minutes. Yeah, you know, that blood test takes, well, you know, less than a minute.
Yeah. The time it takes to walk into the doctor's room, have the injection, and walk out is less than 10 minutes. Yeah. But as I said, that 10 minutes has changed my life. You know, I would like to say that in that 30 people that have been diagnosed, unfortunately, we've lost 2 of those people, both Afro-Caribbean men. One was 36 years of age, right, which apparently is very rare. But his father, his uncle, his 2 brothers had prostate problems. And he was in complete denial, right, you know. And what hurt me more is I went with him when he went and had the check done. And when he came back with the result, you know, he lasted 8 months, less than 8 months. And the other gentleman, who was 42 years of age, lasted less than 10 months. So, you know, this is not something that we can just dismiss, that, oh, it's like a common cold. It's a very serious issue. And the only way we're going to get to the bottom of this problem is if we get together as men and, you know, talk about this issue, you know, work with one another, You know, if people want to come and talk to me, not a problem. If they want to talk to the doctor, we are available, right? You know, thankfully, people like yourself who have allowed us to come out and talk about this issue gives us a chance to sort of say, you know what, for every one person that listens and they do something about it and they tell 20 other people, that is the target we've got to aim for.
I think there's a very important point which Errol has thankfully mentioned, which is this family history. If you have a family history of prostate cancer, so your father, your brother, your uncle, or whatever, your risk is doubled. You know, so you know your risk is high if you're black, and if you've got a family history, it's even higher. And therefore, although you know nationally we say start getting tested and so on from the age of 45, if you've got a family history, then you should start thinking of that younger. So it's very sad to hear about this very young man.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And the other thing which saddens me greatly is that 1/3 of the men I see with prostate cancer, it's already spread. Now, if this man had been tested previously, then we could have found it when it was early and curable.
Because this is what I was going to say, mentioned based on what Errol had said, is one, the family linked to it, but two, the ages you mentioned are actually younger than the age of 45.
That's right.
You know, again,
it's family history.
Yeah,
and they're both Afro-Caribbean men, and this
right.
is why what the doctor's saying. You know, if it's in the family, you know, if there's a member of the family, it takes on an even more importance, right? But it still remains important. We have to get it in our system that it's important. Something we need to do once a year. Go to your doctor. Say, you know what, I want to get myself checked. There are some issues. People are coming back and saying to me, "Oh, my doctor's looked at me and said, yeah, I'm fine." Everybody looks good. Everyone looks very good on the outside, but being a mechanic, I can tell you, it's the engine that makes you move, not the bodywork.
Yeah,
it's the engine.
100%.
And another point is that, you know, I've come across several men who, for various reasons that perhaps we can go into, have not told their families that they've got prostate cancer. And I say to them, your sons are at higher risk, so you have a responsibility, in my eyes, to tell your sons that you have prostate cancer.
For their benefit as well as your own.
For their benefit.
Definitely, right. I do want to mention this number at the moment. It's 0800 074 8383. That's actually a helpline and an information line to give any more information. I'm going to read that out one more time. 0800 074 8383. Unfortunately, time has caught up on us, but Errol, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for listening.
No, thank you.
And to the Ben listeners as well, please, all of you guys out there and ladies, talk to each other, right? Take on what we're saying, because we're here to save lives. That's what this is all about. We just want everyone to do something about this issue, please.
And again, Dr. Frank, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
You know, thank you for the opportunity to spread the message about prostate cancer. There's lots of advice available. There's Prostate Cancer UK, as I was mentioned. There's also Cancer Black Care, which is a black charity that does a lot of work in the area of prostate cancer.
Okay.
It's on the web.
Right. Thank you both very much. Okay, as I said, that was an interview I just felt we had to get out and, you know, inform as many people as we can. And please, even if you go for a check, inform your family and friends as well, because you could save a life. And this is what we want to see. And right, that's it, definitely. Okay, we're going off to a break now. And after that, we will be joined by Jada Badu and Laverne Thomas. Catch you after the break.